All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mastering Items with More4apps. I'm Stephanie, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Since this is a quick fire webinar, I just want to go over a few things as fast as possible before handing it over. So our host today is Rachana Haste, and she is a solution specialist here at More4apps. And again, a lot of you probably have already met her. So Rachana's Oracle story started just after she finished studying electronics engineering in India. Following her degree, she moved to the US for Oracle E-Business Suite implementation and support services and has been working in the space for over 15 years. Her knowledge of EBS has taken her across many different customers across the world, helping implement various modules. And she also serves as a board member on multiple Oracle users special interest groups. So after Rachana presents, we will begin our Q&A portion. During the session, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box down below or in the chat. We will only answer them during the Q&A part of the session, just to allow everyone to hear the entirety of the presentation and hop off at the end if needed. And like always, we will send out the recording after the webinar. But let's get started. So Rachana, you can take it away.
Sure, thank you. And nice to see everyone, meet everyone here. Many of you I've known in the past demos and various other interactions. And I've been with More4apps for about 9+ years now. And I've been in the pre-sales product solutions group. And I've always been in the consulting space in the order to cash and inventory manufacturing modules prior to joining More4apps. So let's do a deep dive into the item wizard today. So I'm going to take away the sharing. All right. So let me turn off my video. And let's focus on the sheet. Okay. So this is the items wizard. As many of you would be knowing, you all are existing users, and I've already logged in here. I've also created a bunch of items for today. I've already created them, and we are going to walk through a few scenarios, deduplicating, basically eliminating duplicates. We are going to see how to do clean up the master data by deduplicating, and then also doing some regular maintenance activities on these items. So let's hop over. In the last webinar, we planned this to be a series. So in the last webinar, which was a little more generic on EBS, the recording should be available somewhere if any of you need it. We had covered some generic tips and tricks like, how to trim down your sheets and remove columns and a few other areas like normalize, denormalize, and a few other things, features. So that's how I've come down to a really nice trimmed down sheet here. And this is what I use to create items. And we can always access the recording again if you need that to see how to do incremental baby steps to remove your columns without eliminating something which is mandated. Okay. So using this, I've created these items. Let's go down to another sheet, which has a little more attributes so that when I'm deduplicating, when I'm deactivating items which are not used, I want to see a few more attributes before I get rid of anything. So let's take this prefix, which is what I've used for today. And I'm going to go to an expanded sheet as soon as this bar is letting me go beneath here. So let's go to a slightly more expanded sheet like this one. And here, let me show how you can eliminate duplicates, how you can look for duplicates. So on the item number, when I'm downloading using sheet, and we went over a little bit about the download options last time around. So if I want to download using sheet where my query parameters are on the sheet, I can put the prefix here, put an R and a percentage. Let me get rid of this initial little apostrophe. Okay, so you can do a wildcard like this. And then I can download using sheet data. So the percentage serves as a wildcard. I can download from items. And it's going to get everything that starts with that prefix. This could also be a percentage in the beginning. You don't have to do it only in the end. So it could be a percent, EBS percent, and it'll still get all these items anywhere that it occurs in between. So this is useful when you think that you might have similar named items with just a slight character here or there. This applies to even customer or supplier maintenance. So sometimes you have similar named customers or suppliers and want to clean it up. You can use this wildcard query, get hold of all the items or the master data that is of similar naming convention. Just sometimes a dot is there, or sometimes a little character space or a full name rather than an abbreviation might be there. And because of that, there might be duplicates already created in the master data. So all of those get queried, and they get onto the sheet. They get downloaded on this sheet. So now looking at this, it's very easy to compare which is the one which looks all correctly set up, which are the ones which have more transactions. You can go to the material transaction wizard and look at the items, which one has all the transactions against it, or which one is set up the correct way. Once you have a fair idea, all you need to do is just go in and change the status to obsolete, inactive, or any of your statuses, the sunset status that you might have. As you all know, you can always query for the list of values here by double-clicking, and it'll bring up the form. The form is also very key when you're, let's say, removing duplicates or doing an entry for the first time. It gives you the list of values as well as gives you what is mandatory and what is optional while entering the data on a row. So anything, just like the Oracle forms, we try to follow the same convention. Anything that is in the text boxes that you will see pop up in the form in yellow will be mandatory, mandated ones. Whereas if they are white and clear, those text boxes mean that they are optional. You can leave them blank while uploading. Okay, so the first time around, yeah, it's loading all the attributes on the form. It's initializing. So you'll see that it loads all the list of values. The second time around, it caches all of these, so it'll be a lot faster. So you see all of the list of values, user item type, item status. So I could make it inactive. I could make it, now again, there is some duplication even on the statuses on our instance. So these are the kind of things that happen over a period of time. So I could make it obsolete. Okay. All right, so yeah, as Stephanie said, you can keep popping your questions in to the chat. We'll come around to it in the end. All right, so once you've done that, you can always make this update, and that will change it. It's saying that it already exists when it was in create mode, but yeah, update will go through. So that's a simple way to get hold of duplicates. Of course, there is download by form as well, and we will quickly navigate to that now. I'm going to walk through a simple scenario where, let's say, we want to change the buyer or the planner on a lot of items. That's a very regular scenario. So again, instead of having this expanded kind of sheet, I would rather prefer a trimmed down sheet, which is tailored for the purchasing manager or the purchasing user who's going to manage the buyers, planners, and all of that. So let's navigate to that sheet again here, and then I can search by either of these. Let's say there is a buyer who is moving out, somebody else is taking their place. You want to switch over all the items, all the active items assigned to a specific buyer over to another buyer, a new buyer, or another planner. You can do that very easily here on the form, because over the years, we have kind of built all these search parameters into the form. So you'll notice that we can search by planner or buyer and get hold of items. You can even filter down to active items within an organization, inventory org, which are assigned to a specific buyer. So let's do that here on the download form. And this is different from the data entry form. This was within download. Okay, so let's limit to, let's say, V1. That's our master org. I can search by item number like I'd done before with an EBS webinar from and to, but let's keep that blank. And let's focus on, as we said, on searching by the buyer or the planner. Let's limit to only active items. And let's say our planner is, I think this is a name, no. Let's just search by everything. Okay, yeah, I think I have a lot of items assigned to J Smith within V1, and we'll say active items only and download. Okay, you can limit by user item type or any of these other filters. If it's a real instance, you might want to do all of that. Creation date range, category, you can do it within a category when you're assigning. You might have different buyers for different categories or different planners for different categories of items. So all of those filters can be added, and then you go in and download. All right, so what we are going to do past this is update to a new planner. We could take the help of the form, but I think I remember one of the values that I can easily assign. We are going to make use of the defaulting that we had done last time. All right, so we're just going to put a default planner here. If I remember it right, this should be the name. I can always double check using the form, but let's try it this way. Okay, so the last time we saw that when you have a value on the default values, it's going to stick into all the rows when you're uploading at the time of upload. All right, so that we are going to use that for the action as well as the planner. I'm going to upload this selection. So you see that all the update action will come through, trickle through, as well as the planner. It looks like I got the planner name wrong. And you'll notice that if I haven't left it blank, then it keeps the value that it sees on the row. So let's see what we got wrong. I'm pretty sure it was Danielle's. Yeah, unable to find a match. So now we're going to take the help of the form, do a percentage. Okay, that's the mistake. All right, so let's do that here. And then erase all of these. And now we can rest assured that the right value is going to fall through here. All right, so all those go through, and then we can follow it up with the concurrent processing. So in one flash, we were able to get hold of all the active items that are assigned to a planner on a given inventory org. We were able to download those in a really nice trimmed down sheet where I'm just seeing what I need to, whether the item is a make or a buy, who's the assigned planner, assigned buyer as well. So I see all the relevant fields in one sheet, and then I'm able to update them and send them up all from this one sheet. Okay, so now let's move to some deeper functions within Item Wizard. This is all really elementary and basic for some of you, I'm expecting. So let's go to some of the other modes in here. Okay, so let's say I can recall from one of the cases I'd worked through, or one of the scenarios I'd worked through. So there is a particle board and hardwood manufacturing supplier company, and they wanted to convert all of their items onto the UN SPSC code. That's just a item taxonomy, universally accepted, just like the HTS harmonic code. People have gone over to the UN SPSC, and to introduce it, you basically have to assign it to all of your active inventory of items, which was like 20,000 across 20 orgs for them, something similar in terms of numbers. So to get started with a new taxonomy, a new reporting category, let's say, or a new item naming convention, or on the category side, for all of that, to assign the UNSPSC code, they had to assign this to every active item in the inventory, which was humongous. They also had to add these new category values to the newly introduced category. The UNSPSC was introduced as a category, and then basically applied to all the items. So let's see how they went about using the item wizard. We'll let this progress in the background. Let's go to the category and catalog updates. Okay, so I have this tailored just for item updates for catalogs and categories. And there is also a mode in Item Wizard where you can basically maintain categories. All right, so you can actually go to the maintain categories mode here. And what this does is it allows you to add new category values to an existing structure or category. So let's say you have, let me see if there was, assign purchasing category. So this is a new category. Let's say the structure name, I can add new values to it. So we had done this for the UNSPSC as well. Okay, so let me just find where we had done that. Yeah, so this is for assigning. So there are two modes to it where you can assign it to the items, but there is also introducing new categories under a structure. So for that, you have to go into the maintain categories mode. Okay, and then, let's see. So these could be all existing structures, and then you are adding new categories to that existing structure. Okay, so this is the segment. The structure was UNSPSC, and then these could be new categories of items that you're introducing. So I can go ahead and create these. I don't know if these are already existing. I'll just add a new. And these are all universally published segments, actually. Okay, so these are all like a hierarchy of 4 segments where the top segment will give you the type of item and then keep going downward in the next segment onwards. Okay, so these are all the kinds of woods and everything. So I'm hoping that some of these at least wouldn't be created. So you can put your structure name, put the action as create, and put your new category and its description. You can keep it enabled as yes, viewable by supplier as yes or no. You can inactivate any of these. And if it's an existing one, you can deactivate by putting a date on this and putting update as the action. All right, so and make sure that we are on the maintain categories mode. That's when this sheet will be functional. It'll just remind you if you're on the wrong sheet or the wrong mode, nothing breaks. All right, so if these don't exist, we should be able to create them. Okay, yeah, this combination already exists. So let me just change it up a bit or extend this a bit, and then you'll be able to create new ones. Okay, so let me just, this is the formula. So I can just change this here, and that will add a new value to it. So this is all based on formulas. This is the universally published values. And what we have done here is taken those values and broken them into 4 segments, as you can see here, using some simple formulas. And this is something we had covered in the last webinar where we talked about how formulas can be used within Excel, all Excel functionality, and it translates into the values before uploading. So this is what we have done. We know that it's an 8 segment, and the first and second stands for the first segment here. And, this is the nomenclature for the UNSPSC, so we can use that. Okay, I'm hoping I've changed up some of the things and I can upload this. Now it's validated, going through, and only a few are rejected. All right, the others got accepted. So there are a list of values for each of these as well, which didn't for each of the segments. So it violated that, and that's why you see some rejections, but some went through. And this one is a direct upload. It doesn't go through interfaces, so you see the result immediately. All right, so that's how we create new categories, and then we want to assign these to existing items. So for that, we go back to the items mode. Now that we have brand new UNSPSC codes created, we can go back to the items mode and then look up a nice small sheet where you can just focus on the catalogs and categories, or just the categories. You don't even need the catalogs. So let's say this is the assign UNSPSC category. This is the sheet, and I'm just going to take this item, 11 item, and then I'm going to assign it to one of the codes. I can do to multiple. Okay, so I can just take these and this entire series. We had it till 11 onwards, so I'm just going to increase that. Okay, and then I'm going to update these values. And for the purpose of this webinar, I'm just going to assign the same one category to all of them. So let's download these first, because it does need a download and it needs the values of the description and everything. Okay, so we need to download first. So I'll remove this for now and we'll download these items first so that we get the description and any other details for it to tie back. Even the IDs, if that's needed, item ID and all of that. If it's needed, it'll retrieve all of that so that it's able to tie back during the upload. Okay, so I've got these back and then I can add these. So I can even remove all of these, what I have existing. I'm not going to change anything on that. I'll just take these values and overwrite onto all of these items if I want to. Okay, so I can just actually blow this away, the existing categories, and just focus on getting these onto the item. Okay, so I can just take this and put these against all of the items that I wanted to stick to. All right. And then you can use the defaulting and all of that. Right, so let's go ahead and upload this. So it's an update at the header level, but it's a create at the category level because we are assigning new categories, new values to these existing items. Okay. And then we follow it up. Since it's the items mode, it goes through the interfaces. So we have to follow it up with the import program. I can leave this part out. We all have seen this, but yeah, we can just. Let me go through what we had originally planned. So I did a maintain category. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to point to some, I know that some of you had asked for based on the feedback last time. We heard that some of you wanted some admin functions, some advanced functions, or even security functions. So let me go into a little bit of that. So there are a couple things which I'd mentioned in the last webinar were a little more IT sysadmin specific. And I'll touch upon one of those today. So we talked about there are a few admin functions or advanced functions in the setup, and also the custom query. This is also a little for the more technically initiated, technically oriented people. You can plug in your own SQL query when you want to do a download. So we saw the download form briefly, and we saw the download using sheet data. So you have only a limited number of parameters to search by when you're downloading. Out of the box, these are the parameters you can search by on the download form. We saw we were able to search by planner, buyer, and a few other levers that we have given. But sometimes you might want to search by, let's say, just an DFF flex field attribute, or even something outside of the items, let's say the purchasing side or the invoicing side or something else. Excuse me. So how do you handle that? So you can go into custom query and you can put your own queries within here under manage queries. You can just build your own SQL query on SQL developer, test it out and plug it in here. All right, so that's one function, and I've not set up a SQL query and all of that, but I just wanted to give a pointer. But let's go deeper into the other function that I was going to talk about today, and that is within setup, manage templates. So this gives you an added layer of slicing up how you want to distribute the item wizard. So one way is, of course, you can tailor your own sheets and distribute among users. But the other way to actually lock down responsibilities to certain slices of the item wizard is to use the templating functionality. So only a manage templates user, so basically a template administrator, that's a profile option. You turn that on for a few users, they are able to go into the setup and manage templates. Only a template administrator, template manager is a profile option, or a sysadmin can go in and do this action as well, a system administrator on your Oracle instance. So you can pull this up, and then within here, you can create new templates or modify existing. I'm just going to go into an existing one. So let's say you have someone who's only going to maintain categories and catalogs. You don't want to give a responsibility, a certain responsibility, any other access to modify any purchasing or any other attributes. So in that case, you can create a template just for them. And what you do here, once you open up the template, it gives you access to all the columns that are typically on the wizard, on the item wizard. And then it gives you added control here to say whether or not you want to select them on this slice down template or you don't want to. So as you can see here, some of the attributes, we have not even selected them, so those won't appear. Even some of the purchasing and other sections, we are just going to exclude them so that they don't appear and clutter this the category maintenance person's sheet. Okay, so they'll only be able to see the categories and catalogs. All right. And then you can assign this tailored template to a responsibility. So when someone logs in with this responsibility and has access to only one template, they'll just load that template and be able to work with that. That's how this function is. So let me go in and show how to tweak all these, edit and all of that, the what is selected and what is not. So you basically go in, once you selected the template or you create a new one, you can say edit by sheet. And it presents that whole table of columns in this sheet here. And here you can tweak whatever you need to. So you can change all of these mandatory, non-mandatory, select and not select. So I can say that, okay, in this case, I am going to select the context, let's say. So there are a few which are already not editable. They're always yes. Those are the mandatory ones. But the others you can go in and just select which ones you want to see, you don't want to see. So let's say I want to add the description, long description. I just flip this over to yes. Okay, anything else? I want to make it mandatory. I can do that. And then I load it back up. So that's how it saves the template. I can even change the description on some of them, the comment on some of them. The comment is just what appears when you hover over the column label. So these are little tiny comments that you see when you hover over. Those are controlled using the comment here. So you can tweak those as well. So once you've done that, you can load it back up. So now it's loaded in here and you can save to the repository. And this template takes effect. Next time on, I pull this template, I'll only see those columns, okay? The way to use it is basically when a user comes in with that responsibility, they'll only be able to load, let's say, the template within items. They'll just see the category and catalog updates. And when they create a new sheet using this, they'll only see those columns. So we now see that the long description is included and the other columns, what we already had, are there. So they just see these columns and nothing else. All right, so that was the thing. And there's another little technical piece of hint I wanted to give. All these are listed within the user instructions. Once you click on that, it opens up the user guide. And this is the user guide. So there is a custom package. Many of you have asked me over the course of my demos and POCs where you want to embed your own business logic on validating the item, setting certain attributes or DFFs based on your business rules, or very simply, sometimes you have your own item numbering system. So there is a custom package embedded here whenever you install the item wizard. And this is the name for that custom package. And you're able to access all the attributes that are getting uploaded just before it touches the interface tables. So as soon as you hit, let's say you're on the item sheet, and as soon as you hit an upload, it passes through this package that is listed here. Okay, so this package, and before it hits the interface tables, you have access to all of those attributes in this interface table, in this custom package. And the way you can query for it, it's just compiled within your instance. You can query for it, bring it up, and then you're able to go in and plug in your logic within here. So this is just an example. You can have your custom code within here, whatever you want to do. It's loaded with an example. It has detailed comments. So just pull it up and you can plug in your business rules here, let's say based on what the item details are coming or the categories are coming. You want to set something or reject something. You can even reject that here. Build the logic to reject and send it back. You can put an error message, and that also goes back into the wizard. The return code and the return messages are flashed back on the status columns here. So that's overall the functionality of this. But yeah, I leave it to the little more technically initiated to actually dig in. It's really intuitive. This is just the package, and you go in and look at all the input output parameters. You'll get a hang of how to access the values and how to set the error messages and feedback or success messages. All right, so this is all I had planned to cover. We can cast a glance at the Q&A, the chat at this point.
Yeah, we actually have quite a handful of questions. So we'll take about 15, possibly 20 minutes to go over all of them. And if you initially ask the question and have a further clarifying question or a comment, just raise your hand and I can unmute you. I'm going to try to get through the ones that were already here first, and then we'll just go from there. But we'll start from the top. Yeah, they're all in the chat right now. So which
Okay.
attributes are searchable in the template?
Okay, so I'm assuming you're looking at download using sheet data. Probably that is the question. So usually in our user guide, it'll be mentioned what are the downloadable columns. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can spell out that it's org code and item number, that combination. It has to be a combination. And then you can also go down to the categories. You can limit by the category. I don't think any of the attributes are filterable when you search, but yeah, that should be listed in the user guide, what are the columns that you can put together, string together on one row to get a composite kind of a query. Okay.
Okay, and then we have, how do you load a blank value? When I try to leave the cell blank or enter a space, it will not update correctly. I have been loading a 1 when I need to remove a minimum order quantity or fix the lot multiple. Is there a better way?
Yes, so just removing a value, the wizard just assumes assumes that you might have removed it inadvertently, so it doesn't wipe out. There is an explicit keyword blank within square brackets in this way. And only when you load it this way using the upload, then it wipes off the original value. Okay, so there's a deliberate keyword that you have to punch in to make it blank. I hope
What
that
is the
answers.
I hope so. I don't see any hand raising, so I think we're good. What is the best way to clear out a spreadsheet after a successful load to Oracle? Right now, I am manually deleting the rows and adding new blank rows at the bottom. What's the best way to clear out a spreadsheet after a successful load to Oracle?
So you can do the clear all, like just highlight and remove that you've been doing, but I always recommend doing a new sheet. So if you have everything in a template, it's best to just start out in a new sheet so that you have a blank sheet to begin with. But short of that, yeah, the only way is to basically go into the top, and then you have the control shift end is usually the key where it takes you to the end of the entire data set. So you have some short keys in Excel, like control shift end is one, I believe, or control shift A, one of those. Yeah, that'll take you to the end of, just use Excel short keys to take the entire data set and remove it. I always recommend as a best practice to have a new sheet.
Okay, good. And how do you cancel the spreadsheet when it freezes up? Right now, I have been ending the task in the task manager. Any tips for that?
Yeah. It should not ideally freeze up. If that is happening too much, you should contact support and we can take a look if there is anything with the system timeout or something. But yeah, if it's frozen up and it's not letting you click anywhere, yeah, you just have to go to the task manager and close the window, end the task. But that should not happen too often unless it's like a huge load and you've got timed out. It should not really, even that comes back as a session timeout. So it should not happen too often. Now, there is another little thing there where you can open a new session of Excel. If it's frozen up, you can actually right click. And when you're clicking on Excel, you can hold down the Alt key and then press Excel, and it actually opens up a new session of Excel. You want to start a new instance of Excel. So that way, the More4apps wizard is on its own dedicated Excel. session, and anything else, another Excel sheet, when you're uploading or downloading a large batch, you know how it doesn't let you click on the cells. But if it's a separate session, then you can go back to another Excel sheet and keep working on the Excel sheet when uploads are happening. Okay, so it starts with a blank workbook, but it's completely and entirely independent session. So even if when an upload is happening or you have a form opened up here, even then you should be able to work through another Excel sheet if you have opened it up as a separate session.
Okay.
Hope that helps. All right.
Another question, is it possible to have a template to create category code combination and also set values for a segment or category?
So value set is not included here, but as a combination, you can set up a category. You're not able to set up individual, each segment having a new value. That part is not available here. You have to go into the items, into the sysadmin, the FND flex value setup and value set setups.
We have a need, this is just a response. We have a need for value set setup for new values.
Okay. Yeah, we have a different loader, I believe, sysadmin, where you can actually set up value sets. It's just a different loader altogether. It's a different product, not within items. It's called, let me see. You can ask your contact, but I think it's within sysadmin loaders, it's called the FND Flex Values loader as part of the system administrator loaders. Okay, so we can contact you and walk through that separately.
Well, yeah, we'll reach back out with that. And did you answer is it possible to have a template to create category code combinations, or is that the same answer? Just want to make sure.
To create category code combinations, yes, we have that. And that's
Okay.
what we did here when we created new category codes as a combination.
Do you have like a template for it, or you just, when you do it, then you just save it for the future?
It's a maintain categories template.
Right.
Yeah, that's the default template. It's not got too many columns, so you don't really need to create your own template. You create new, and it's a very limited kind of a sheet, so you can work with that.
All right, another question. Can you change the header names on the default sheet? Example, attribute 1, I want to change it to length on the default sheet. So can you change those?
Usually we recommend just put your user-friendly name on top here. Anything 8 and above are available for your own comments, editing. So you can put your user-friendly name here, but you are able to see the flex field definition names when you pull up the form. And if I'm not mistaken, you can also do that in the setup that we talked about before. So if you really want to get advanced, you can pull up the template when you're managing templates, and you can put a custom view label. So when we were creating these templates, if you remember the category and catalog updates, if you really are eager to give a user-friendly name here, you can make a template and put your own custom label for that. Okay, so these are the custom labels. So instead of attribute 1, I want to say this is the priority or whatever, the design of the item or whatever you want to design code or whatever you want to put it in there. So this will stick in if you load it through the template. That's the best way if you want to really put it. But most users get around by just putting a user-friendly name on top of here.
All right. Another question. How can I make a group of items inactive via the item wizard?
Okay, yeah. So you can download them, and basically what we were doing on one of the sheets, I believe. Let's say I want to deactivate a lot of these, just take off the active status, put inactive as the status on these, and upload in update mode. I don't know if the question was as simplistic as that, or was it alluding to something else? But yeah, you can put update as the value and put inactive as the status on all of these and upload. Now, obviously, if there are transactions and things like that, interdependencies across modules, Oracle will definitely bump you back on that. Okay, if there is on hand on this item and you're trying to deactivate it, things like that. If Oracle is going to reject, then the wizard is also going to reject after your upload is done and you process through the interfaces using import programs. You might get an error that there is on hand on this. You need to clear it out and things like that. But short of that, you should be able to do it just by putting an inactive status, update, and upload these. Any follow-ups?
No, he says thank you about that. That's all
Awesome.
he needed. But I have another
Okay.
question. It might relate to something that you were showing earlier. So is there a way when opening multiple sheets to force them into different instances upon opening? Currently, if I open a bill wizard and a route wizard, as default, they block each other.
Okay. Yes, I think that was answered in the when we talked about opening it in a new session. So when you're opening Excel, hold down the Alt key and then click on Excel, and all these pop-up windows don't really block you anymore. Okay. So keep holding the Excel Alt key. Only then it does that. So right click and keep holding it. Even after you press it, just keep holding it down and then it'll open it as a new instance of Excel and it doesn't block each other out. So once you have opened a new session, then go to File, Open, and open the other wizard. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I
That's
hope
a
that
common thing
answers
we
your
answer.
questions. And then, would you be able to you don't have that much time left, but talk about sub inventories at
Oh,
all?
yes. So, yeah. So that's a whole different. So we have started bringing in some of the modes within here, but all of those are within item extension wizard. There are a lot of modes within here and they function really almost similar to what we have seen on this one. You basically put the item and there is a sheet for each one of these modes. So if I go into the item extension, I plan to cover this, probably might need a different session, but yeah, I'll just briefly touch upon it. You have modes dedicated to sub-inventory, transaction defaults, and a lot of other things. And this workbook usually comes along with the item wizard in the same zip file. It often gets lost or ignored because it's just peripheral setups related to the item, but I highly recommend tracing that file and bringing it back to life. Start using it because when you're setting up items, there's a lot of other things like cross references and things like that. Now, some of these modes you would see coming into the new item wizard. The latest version already has cross reference, I believe, and a few others. Sourcing or ABC assignment is already within the item wizard as a mode. Mine does not show it, but the latest one has. But there are a lot other modes in the item extension wizard. Those are available here. Just go into the clipboard. You can pick the sub inventories and you can create a new sheet. And here you can assign the sub inventory min max and all of that. Put in your item or combinations. And then you can put your supply sub inventory, the min max planned, and all the other information.
Okay. Well, we don't have any other questions, but if anyone has any other ones, feel free to just raise your hand real quick and we have a couple more minutes, about like 2 minutes if you want to get one more in. But if not, you can wrap it up. But yeah, I guess, I don't think we have any more. I think we had a lot of questions, so that's good. But just thank you everyone we do have one more.
Okay.
How can we access your vision database?
Ours are all behind VPNs. It's just a Cloud Vision. Vision 12.1.3 or 12.2 instances. But yeah, those are all behind VPNs. We don't really keep them available for any kind of access. If there is a need, yeah, we can work with you and provide VPN access if there is any real need. But usually we recommend that you install our wizards on your instance, on your test instance, backup instance, and try it out.
Yeah, Rachana, I will give you their information and you can probably
Sure,
fill
yes.
them in more about the other stuff that you also mentioned. It's the same person asked a question earlier.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, the whole value set stuff.
Okay, sure, yeah, we can connect.
Yeah. Okay, well, think that's it, but thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, Rachana. If you have any follow-up questions, make sure to just reach out. I will put Rachana's info in our follow-up email tomorrow. That will also include the recording, or feel free to reach out to your account representative. But thank you again, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.